Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum to our viewers for our fourth Muslim Minds podcast with myself and Sheikh Muhammad al-Sha'ir. This is our fourth podcast and the first for the year 2024. And as you probably all know now, by the title at the bottom, we decided to go big with our first one to discuss a topic everyone wants to talk about and doesn't want to talk about, something that we find is of great importance, something that isn't discussed very much due to various reasons, and something that needs our attention. So I'm going to throw you off now to Sheikh Muhammad. Maybe he can get us rolling on this, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So yes, we decided to start with the juicy topics.
Yeah.
This is what you said during the first introduction that we had. Inshallah, we want to speak about sex and sexuality in Islam because it's a taboo topic that barely anyone speaks about publicly, or everyone gets their information just in private, in silence. And we decided to just speak about this topic and see how we can support Muslims and get the thinking straight. Because we're going to speak a bunch of things. We want to speak about why this is a taboo topic. We want to speak about the danger of wrong education. And we want to speak about what's happening in our society, because it is present, even though everyone tries to just
Just close the eyes, pretend it's not happening.
Pretend it's not happening.
How'd you even get here, though?
But it is happening, and it is so present.
Yeah.
But everyone tries to deny it. Inshallah, we want to speak about zina and what it is and why Islam punishes for it and how. And if we can, we might dive into other topics as well. And then we want to finish off with sex in Islam and how Islam sees this topic. So I think this is like the outlook on what we're going to speak about.
I think also just a note we were discussing before, right? That we do think there should be an age restriction on the viewing.
Yes.
So we do recommend that for those under the age of 16, they are accompanied by a guardian, a parent, just out of the sensitivity of the topic. I mean, we're going to get enough backlash from this. I'm just imagining what some of my teachers are going to be saying.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
If you're under 16, don't watch this on your own.
Please. But yeah, like Sheikh said, this is a taboo topic, which is good and not good, right? I mean, it's good when it comes from the basis of what we call haya, yeah?
Yes.
Modesty or chastity in Islam. Islam encourages this. And this is one of the positive reasons why it is a taboo topic.
Well, let me actually start it off with something that I read during a survey that we did in the past. It's from a perspective. It's a perspective from a sister living in Canada. When she spoke about this whole topic of sexuality, she said the following, and I want to take her take on this. So she said, we grow up in a society that encourages men to be sexual and have sexual relationships. But when it comes to females, we're speaking about our society, like the religious society, they always shut down the girl. They just shut her off. Don't speak about this. And then she said her perspective. She said that we go to school and then we take in biology classes, sex-related
sex education.
Sex education. And then when we go home as young kids, young girls, we're speaking boys and girls at the age of 10, 11, 12, 13, when we go home and then we tell our parents, this is what we took in school, they always tell us, this is wrong, don't listen to them, everything they said is wrong, shu hal haki, all this stuff. And then they go to Islamic school and they take sex education, which means basically ghusl and some other stuff, right? Like, this is how you do ghusl al-janaba and that's it. And no one ever opens the topic. And then they grow up to become adults in the age of marriage. And they want to get married. And for a woman, usually this topic is never spoken about. And if she's modest and religious. She takes an idea of sexuality and it's something bad. I shouldn't speak about this. I shouldn't know anything about this. And then she gets married, and her husband has probably experience, and then he has expectations from her, but because she was never allowed to speak about this, she never got proper education on this topic, she fails to please her husband. And then everyone blames her because she looks like the bad one. And you didn't know how to please your husband, you're not good with your husband, etc. And then she just stands there and like as the dumb one, and wallah, I didn't know what to do. But no one spoke to her about this topic. No one gave her proper education on this topic. So آخر شيء, we blame the female in religious circles, I'm speaking. And they have this strong perception of sexuality. So this is what she said. I think it's pretty accurate to most the religious environments and societies. So what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
No, definitely. I mean, there is basis to this opinion. And I think the sooner that we as a community, and especially a Muslim community living in the diaspora, living out in the West, no matter where you are, the sooner that we come to the realization that we live in a hypersexualized world, the sooner we can begin to have these discussions with our brothers and our sisters in our homes, in our schools, on our manabir, in our masajid. Because what we're doing is when we don't put forward, look, this is a reality, okay? Society is extremely hypersexualized. You can't watch a toothbrush commercial without some sexual innuendo being thrown in there.
True.
Okay? You can't drive down the street in Sydney without seeing some billboard which is enticing or whatever. And there's a phrase I love to throw out in the West: sex sells, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's all over the place, okay? So if you're living in a capitalist society, and selling is what this society is based on, and they're throwing around the slogan sex sells, so sex is going to be everywhere. It's going to be included in everything. So we can't walk around with our heads in the sand, okay?
It is in every song, every movie, every series,
every product.
You can't.
Your advertisements, your social media, your celebrities, the news, politicians. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's all over the place. So it's been taken out of the. It's not like the times of our parents and grandparents, where it was something which was exclusive to the bedroom between husband and wife. It's something that's been taken out of the bedroom, thrown out into society. It's weaponized. It's used. It's overexposed. So we need to come to terms with this. We need to come to terms with this, and we need to start empowering our youth and educating them. Because if we don't give it to them, then they're going to go look for alternative avenues, and they're going to get their information from un-Islamic sources, and they're going to go about it with the wrong culture and the wrong mindset and the wrong sort of behavior, right? So we can't leave that void, because that vacuum, that void is going to be filled by someone else. Some other ism, some other philosophy, some other point of view, worldview is going to come in there, and they're going to mold our youth, and they're going to shape them, girls and boys.
So this is why we're doing this episode.
This is definitely why we're doing this episode.
At the same time, it won't cover everything.
It won't cover everything. No, definitely. You'd need hundreds of episodes.
It needs a workshop, it needs classes, it needs like...
I know. And it's going to be hard, right? I mean, I think our viewers don't understand, most of them won't understand the magnitude of the backlash that you and I are going to get from our colleagues, maybe even some of our students, some of our teachers, for even discussing this thing so openly, right? It's not something that's common, unfortunately. And it's not because Islam doesn't have context. It's not because Islam doesn't have material to share or doesn't have anything to say on the topic. It's just that culturally, rather more than Islamically, culturally this is taboo.
Well, if you open our narration books, you'll find plenty of detailed narrations. We'll come to that. I know, I don't want to take anything. But you know what's funny? Take a guess on what's the average age of kids who are exposed to sexual stuff and sexuality, even like their own desires. And we made a survey. We asked those people who participated.
KTL.
Yes, exactly. KTL survey on intimacy. And we asked the participants, how old were you when you first like interacted with something sexual? And when did you feel your sexual desire? So take a guess, like how old were they, the average, most of
Man,
them?
you said kids already, so that's scaring me. So.
Yeah, they're kids. Yeah, they're kids. And guess what? Most of them were females, not males. Like 70% of the participants were females. And guess the average age of when they first were like, when they first interacted with something sexual or felt a sexual desire.
I'm going to take a wild guess.
Yeah.
12?
Less.
Less than 12?
Yes.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
Most of them were between the age of 10, 11, and 12.
Oh, wow.
Most of them. And then you find parents who say, you know what, I don't want to open his eyes on these topics, just let him play. You think he's playing, but he is aware of his own desire and he's been having sexual interactions. But most of those who we asked were from the older generation, a bit, شوي. So how about the new generation now, which is probably way worse? So we can't just close our eyes and say, you know what, we don't want to speak about this topic, it's not appropriate. No, it is. Islamically, it is present. And in society, it's so present. With our kids, it's so present. And now it's even more present in the West.
That's right.
So there's no way around not speaking about this topic.
No, I mean, look, I think you even see this, Sheikh, in your experiences when you go out for tabligh, right? When I talk to men my age who now have teenage daughters, the problems that they're having, I mean, I can throw just one example. In one community, I had a brother my age who had a 12-year-old daughter. And he'd caught her on some pornographic websites, and he didn't know how to deal with that. So yeah, that's why I said 12, because that story came to mind. But then you shocked me and you said no, it goes younger than that.
We even had somebody say, like, the first interaction when they ever, like, the first time they felt the sexual desire was at 4.
At 4 years old?
At 4.
That's traumatic.
I think it is. It's not healthy. It's not normal. But imagine at the age of 4.
That's a bit of an off. But let's look at how the West is actually treating this issue, right? So they're exposing our youth, our children, to this at a very young age. So when you say to me 4, at the age of 4 and 5, they're receiving some form of sex education in government schools, whether it be in Australia or Canada or the United States, some European countries, the whole gender identity business, the sexual identity business. They're being exposed to this stuff, okay? So if they're being overexposed at school, in the media, social media, online, all over the place, and Islam, which builds their identity, is not addressing this issue, then what am I doing? I'm throwing them to everyone else to paint them, and it's about time our parents and our communities and our ulama, at the very least in the West, although over here in Beirut, we're getting there, right? Yeah, maybe not as much, but we are getting there.
We're still better off than the West.
We're better off, but slowly. I mean, I compare Beirut now to Sydney in the 90s. Beirut 2024 when it comes to sex culture,
So we have another 30 years until it's completely
but things are moving fast, man. So we do need to address it. We can't just throw this topic off and ignore it, and then because our youth are very inquisitive, and they're like sponges. They genuinely, wallah, some of them just really want help. They really want help, and they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed to ask mom and dad. They're embarrassed to ask Maulana. They're embarrassed, and so they send off these emails to the office of the Maraja, and they come back, and it's Google translated. The response.
I know,
and it's so poor. So we need to give them these avenues. Okay, we need to provide for them some form of communication. We need to communicate this issue to them.
Yes, so they can't think that not speaking about this topic makes them more religious. Just shutting everything off and down, just refusing any type of conversation related to this makes them more religious or more modest. It doesn't. So we want to encourage everyone who has a bit of knowledge about this topic, whether be an older sibling, a parent, a friend who's wise, just make sure that your kids, the youth, have somebody they can reach out to and speak about this topic openly so they can get proper education.
That's right.
Because wrong education will lead to wrong practice. Wrong practice will lead to a divorce, unhealthy habits,
to
addictions.
Yeah.
And we will face many, many problems if we do not have proper education when it comes to sexuality. And this is why this topic is so important.
That's right. I mean, the whole issue of you said something very interesting, that people view less religious, or that sex is something unholy. Yeah.
Many girls have that.
That it's so unholy. It's something that's dirty. It's something that's vile, and this is very far from the Islamic opinion, by the way. Yeah. Islam, we get this opinion more from Judeo-Christian belief that sex means impurity. Okay, that's why you have like Catholic priests and nuns. You know, they abstain for the because they want to maintain their chastity. They're married to God, as they say. But then we see where that leads, right? Yeah, we all know the
sexual harassment to young boys, young girls.
Yeah, there's all of that. But Islam doesn't view it this way.
And I'm sure the viewers can provide us in the comments with some stories they came across, how not satisfying this need can lead to corruption in the society.
Yeah. Basically, Islam doesn't have this opinion. It doesn't view sex as something unholy, as something ungodly, as something unclean. In fact, soon we'll get into the narrations of how it's something that's loved and encouraged, and something that can actually bring you closer to Allah Ta'ala. And if done with the intention of nearness to Allah Azza wa Jal, it can even raise you spiritually. And we have ad'iyah and mustahabbat and things that we should be doing before and during and after. And it gets quite...
exactly.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of information on there. So we need to be getting out of this mindset that, it's something, yes, it's ungodly and unholy and dirty when it's done outside of the fold of the Shariah. Yeah?
Exactly.
Outside of the Sharia, like everything else. I always use the example, like meat, right? If I eat meat, I can eat 2 cuts of meat, the exact same steak, okay? One is tahir, one is najis. Simply because this is tahir, simply because it was slaughtered in the way that Allah Ta'ala intended, and this was killed in another way. So this becomes najis, this is tahir. It's the exact cut. So when we talk about the act of sex, the exact same act, one can bring you closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, one can destroy you.
Exactly.
Simply because this is done how Allah Ta'ala intended, and this was done in another way. It's that simple, okay? So we need to get out of this mindset, this mind frame that, this is something disgusting and vile, and if I do it, I'm not godly. If I think about it, I'm unholy. If I feel that I need it, then I'm not close to Allah. I'm someone that's bad, someone that's evil, okay? No, Islam comes and says, Allah Ta'ala says, I created you. I put this desire in you, but there's a way for you to go about it.
Exactly.
Yeah? Go about it the right way.
When we come to that point, we'll mention a few things. I think they will actually shift people's mindset towards sexuality and how they should perceive it. But if we want to stay in the topic of hypersexualization in our society and how it's present everywhere, and how we have 2 extremes. We have the West that went to the extreme in sexuality and they practiced everything to the extent now that we have so many other practices that are being done and made, right? They got bored of the regular, normal sex. So now they invented new ways.
The regular, normal.
You know what I mean, you know? Like regular, normal.
Regular, normal.
Yeah, just like, it's boring now.
It's a very vague
I know, but like, I don't know how to word it. Anyway,
yeah.
So they just got bored of the regular, normal relationship between man and woman. So now they got bored. They want to just experiment and discover new things. So we have probably LGBTQ. That's why. And wallah, let's try new things. So they took it to the extreme because they're just in that world of sexualization of everything.
That's
but
true.
When it comes to other societies who are living the taboo mindset when it comes to sex and they're not allowed to have sex outside of marriage, we see that we have wrong practices. We have harassment, we have zina, we have other things. Masturbation, pornography. It's a real problem now that we're facing. So we have these two extremes of just no limits, no limitations, just do whatever you want, to the extent whatever you want, literally, right? Even with animals. And then we have, it's a taboo topic, so what shall I do? What can I do? Pornography, masturbation, zina. So what can we do looking at these two extremes? Because both of them make a problem for humanity, for the balanced human being that we want to speak about in a bit.
Yeah, so here comes in the Islamic equation of the medium path. Yeah, Islam in everything is wasat. Okay, in everything, it's neither here nor here. Everything is the middle ground. Yeah, and the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam says this in a narration. He says that Islam is the religion of the middle. It's the religion of balance. We need to balance everything. So we're not saying that we need to succumb to hypersexuality and then indulge in this type of culture where everything is permissible everywhere, anywhere, anyhow, with anyone, all the time. Yeah, because this is how Western society is these days, right? Like we said earlier, it's just all over the place, and it's used everywhere, and it's gotten to a point where it's become inhumane. Yeah, it's not natural. What's happening out there is just not natural, right? We see, for example, a lot of marriage counselors, and I've heard this firsthand from Muslim couples. You know, you sit with them, they tell you, yeah, we went to a secular counselor in Australia or wherever, and we're having some issues, and then they recommended that we see other people, or that we have an open relationship. Yeah, so there's no sanctity for sex. It's just something that you could do anywhere, anytime. Just do it. Yeah, it's fine. Do it as much as you can all over the place.
This is one of the consequences of the extreme.
Exactly. This is the extreme. And like you said, this other extreme where it's hidden and no one talks about it, and that it leads to Islam comes and tells you, no, this is something that is beautiful. It's so beautiful that we sanctify it. And because it's something that's sanctified, yeah, it needs to be regulated. Basically, how Islam regulated it, and we're talking about the middle ground, is Islam said, okay, you see all of these fantasies and all of these lustful thoughts that you have and these wants and these desires, these are not unclean, these are not ungodly. We encourage you to do them. However, they need to be done in the institution of marriage. We don't have sex outside of marriage. Okay? Get married and have the best sex life you can ever have. But do it in marriage. Don't do it outside. This is how Islam regulated it. And this is how all world religions, I mean, if you want to talk about like the essence of Christianity and Judaism, there's no sex outside of marriage, yeah? For whatever, I don't know, for whatever reason, the church is now slacking off on the whole issue. But Islam is stricter on this, and Islam has consequences.
Yes. We can take it further, though, not only in religions. I feel culturally, there was always some sort of commitment.
That's right,
to be sexual, to be intimate with the other.
That's right.
So the concept of commitment, this one was destroyed by the West.
Yeah.
Just have sex without any commitment, right? Just take the other's body, but don't commit to anything. Don't be responsible.
Be liberal.
About anything.
Be free.
Yes, but this is not the freedom that we want when we speak about intimacy, being with another person, because it's related to a lot of emotions, right? There needs to be some sort of commitment.
There needs to be some sort of responsibility.
Yes. If you take that out, what did you do? you destroyed the whole concept of.
That's right. Look, Islam always focuses on elevating us above animals. Okay, there needs to be a difference in the way we do things between us and animals. We can't eat like animals. We can't live like animals. We can't have hygiene like animals, right? And we can't have sex like animals. Animals just do it. Surprisingly, some animals regulate their sexual encounters more than most humans. Right? Honestly, yeah, there are some animals that can, you know, they regulate it, and they have certain rules and certain taboos and certain things they won't do. But we can't just open the floodgates, okay? So Islam came and said to you, okay, look, we have this institution called marriage. And this institution called marriage is based off what you just said, that the human being, traditionally, historically, from the time of Adam, when they wanted to give themselves physically, at the very least, to a partner, they needed some form of agreement, some form of commitment, some form of regulations. It wasn't something that was just done. You do it, and then you get up and you leave. Yeah. No.
Yes.
Yeah. There needs to be consent. Is the first thing. There needs to be some form of consent. There needs to be understanding. You need to stick around. Okay. I'm not too sure about other religions out there, but Islam, I think, from as far as I know, is the only religion which has the concept of iddah. Yeah. Iddah being the period,
Waiting period.
the waiting period between marriages. If a woman was to get divorced or
Yes.
widowed, or the time is up on her temporary marriage, then there's a waiting period.
Yes.
Okay. 2 or 3 cycles depending on the jurisprudential circumstances, and this regulation, like this particular control, is one of many controls where Islam has come to say that, you know what, okay, you did this, you did what you needed to do, this is fine. Now add in this control, because now we need to talk about possible pregnancy. We even need to talk about possibility of the two of you getting back together. You know, so it's something that's beautiful. It's beautified, yeah. It's no longer an animalistic thing.
Yes, it
Okay.
gives everyone their right, because if you do have sexual intercourse outside of marriage, what do we call that?
Zina.
Zina. And when it comes to zina, a lot of people have a wrong understanding. They don't really understand the gist of Islam and how Islam treats humans when it comes to zina and other problems. You know, we have this ishkaliyya about Islamic punishments,
Yeah.
right? Al-hudud, we call them in
Yeah,
Arabic.
yeah.
So there's a misconception, and I think that was one of the biggest, let's say, one of the biggest eye-openers for me personally when I studied fiqh. When I came across zina and how Islam deals with that. So, but the mainstream idea of zina is wrong. They have just an understanding of it that is not really Islamic. So I would like to use this opportunity to actually say what zina is in Islam and when Islam punishes for it. So zina, because people get this wrong. They think, if they just touch somebody else, some of them,
Any form of physical contact
Any
between
type of contact,
non-mahram
if
male
they-
or female is zina.
Yes.
Even look sometimes.
yes, they think, wallah, if I kiss another woman, if I touch her, if there's any type of sexual interaction,
Bad, it's a sin.
of course it's a sin,
But it's not
a
zina.
big deal.
It's a
but
big
it's
deal,
not
but
zina.
it's not what we call
'Cause when
zina,
we say
yeah.
zina that is going to lead to death punishment, right? This is something else.
In an Islamic.
So I'm not trying to belittle any
Yeah.
type of haram interaction with the other gender, not at all. I just want to say, when is it actually zina, right? So it is zina if a man sleeps with another woman that is not halal to him, right? I don't want to go into details if she is married or not, if he is married or not, because there's different types of punishment. There's 8 different ones, but just the classical one.
By
if-
sleeping, we mean actual intercourse. There needs
intercourse.
to be actual intercourse.
Yes.
Yeah.
He needs to
There needs to be penetration.
penetration, exactly. When a man penetrates another woman that is not halal, this is zina.
Zina.
Right? So, but one time we speak about the actual act and it's zina recognized as zina and Allah Azza wa Jal, that's something. And then when we speak about the punishment, that's something completely else. Yani, there could be two people committing zina, but when it comes to the punishment, because the known punishment for zina is death, right? Under circumstances, yani, طبعا. I don't want to speak like too general about this because sometimes it's not death. Sometimes it's just jalad. Just jalad, whipping, right? What do you call it?
But by the way, this is all in an Islamic government with an Islamic court.
Hala, I'm going to come to
Yeah.
this.
Don't go whipping each other.
No.
Yeah.
Hala, I will come to this. So if actually two people commit zina, which is one of the kaba'ir, of course, it's a big deal. For it to go to lead to death, there's a process. That's the process. And the process is the following: to see how much mercy Islam has when it comes to punishing people. Because people just think Islam means death, because of ISIS, because of other things. They just think, and wallah, Islam just wants to kill people. La habibi. This is not how it is. So if somebody actually commits zina and he wants to get punished Islamically, he deserves it. If the judge takes the opinion and they deserve death, then they actually deserve it. Let me tell you why. Because in Islam, for the judge to recognize something as zina, there needs to be this process. We need 4 witnesses. These 4 witnesses have to go to the judge at the same time and give the same testimony, right?
Sorry, but there have to be not any 4 witnesses. There need to be 4 male, just.
Exactly.
Just, yeah?
Yeah.
Just meaning that they not known for lying. Yeah, they're not known for lying. They're not known for openly doing
haram.
Openly doing haram.
Yes.
There need to be 4 udul male witnesses.
Yes.
Yeah?
So 4 male just witnesses who go to the judge at the same time. Like if 3 of them enter and they give their shahada and one of them says, Yalla, the 4th one is on his way, he doesn't accept and they get whipped.
They get whipped, yeah.
They get
right,
whipped.
yeah.
So 4 people need to go to the judge, 4 men, just men. They need to go to the judge. They have to give their shahada in front of the judge and it needs to be the exact same one. So if one of them says, I saw this man and this woman commit zina and they actually have to see the act. It's not enough for them to say, I saw them sleeping together. I saw them in bed.
I saw them hugging.
I saw them hugging. They went into a room alone. I heard sounds. This is not enough. They actually have to say, I saw the man penetrating the woman. He needs to see it.
They need to say the actual penetration.
Yes, yeah, the actual penetration. It's
All
not
4
enough.
of them need to
see it. Every single one needs to see the penetration. Nothing else is enough.
It's almost impossible.
And they have to give the exact same shahada.
Yeah.
They have to say, I saw them at 3 in this room, do this. If somebody else says, I saw them at 3:30, the judge won't take the shahada.
Or I saw him, he was wearing a white singlet. All 3 said white. One guy said, you know what, it may have been grey.
Yes.
The whole
He
thing
doesn't
is,
take
it's gone. It's all
so
gone.
the shahadat, the witnesses, have to say the exact same thing and they actually have to see the act. If not, the judge will not take it and they will get whipped.
That's right.
So basically, if somebody is going to die because of zina, okay, if they're going to face death because they committed zina, it's their own fault. They did it openly on the street. They let people see them. There is basically no way.
You can even get punished for being married and doing it on the street.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not, if you're gonna do it in a way where four just men are gonna sit there and watch you, and,
it's your fault.
Yeah, you're doing.
So basically, Islam is that strict. If somebody is actually going to die, it's because their own fault. They went openly. They did it openly.
Yeah.
But if somebody is trying to do it in secret, they won't get death punishment. Islam is just, how do you say, haris ala al-hayat?
Yeah.
To that extent.
Yeah. Islam likes to, not likes to, Islam is actually very, very strict when it comes to preserving life. It's not just anyone and everyone. And we have so many narrations. The story of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, when they come and tell him that there's 2 in the cave. Yeah, that there's There's a man and a woman in a cave, and they're committing adultery. And the Imam alayhi salam says, all right, let's go. And then as he's walking up towards the cave, he begins to say, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. So he alerts them.
Yes,
He alerts them
yes,
that we're coming,
yes, yes.
And then when they get there, they just find a guy and a girl just sitting there. And these companions, they say to Amir al-Mu'mineen, I said, why'd you do that? They were clearly committing zina. He says, no, I saw a man and a woman sitting in a cave. There's no zina here, yeah? This is how much, or the story of the woman that comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Several times she comes to him, confessing to the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, that I've committed this act. And then several times he sends her back. It's a long story many of us have heard, right? And it's a beautiful story. Until he tells her to wait her iddah, and then she was pregnant, and then he says to her, wait until you give birth, and she gives birth. Then he tells her to breastfeed the child. She breastfeeds the child. Then only when he says to her, prove to me the child can eat on his own or feed himself, only then does the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wa order that the had be taken upon her.
Yes.
But even after it was taken upon her, the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wa elevates the status, from what I'm remembering, of this woman who genuinely. So another way, right, is if there's no 4 witnesses, to come and for the actual perpetrators to confess 4 times, right?
Yes. So this is actually one of them. There's another. I was trying to find I'll find the narration or the story, because one way is for 4 witnesses to actually give the shahada, and then another way is just to confess.
Confession, yeah.
And he mentions the story here about a man who goes and he confesses 4 times, and the Prophet sends him away. He tells him, لَعَلَّكَ قَبَّلْت, maybe you just kissed her.
Right.
And then he tells him, no, I did zina, I committed zina. He tells him 4 times that I committed zina. When I was studying this and I read the story, I told myself, like, why is he confessing? Like, khalas, just the Prophet is telling you, go away. But he did it 4 times, and then the narration at the end of it, it says he confessed because he was fearing that the Quran might become down in his name.
Mention him, that's
mention
right.
him, yeah. So he says, I just went, I confessed, I'll get my punishment in this dunya, but please let no Quran come in my name and just mention me, and like I'll be cursed forever. So he confessed. So either you confess 4 times, right? And then the Prophet sent him away, just like how we did with the woman. Yeah. Or you just do it openly, then you deserve it. If you are dumb enough, to do this openly and let 4 people see you, then you will face death.
It's merely impossible.
It is.
It's merely impossible. I think even
these are exactly my words when I study. It's like, it's impossible.
I mean, because where you're gonna get 4? I mean, don't forget, like, these are 4 just men. Like, so there's supposed to be 4 God-fearing men.
Yes.
Where on earth are they gonna be, all of them together? Yeah, and witness such a thing. Even in the istifta, Sayyid Sistani has it in his istifta, that he won't even accept video evidence.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, he won't accept.
It needs to be seen.
It actually needs to be seen. So video evidence is not even evidence in the case of Sayyid Sistani. And this is a look at the rahmah of Islam, and the mercy, but not taking away from the dangers of this thing. Yeah. Of why does Islam want to regulate this? Why is zina so frowned upon? Why do we have so many narrations describing acts that are not zina, but describing them as zina?
Zina al-ayn.
Zina al-ayn. We have, for example, about the sister that's overly perfumed. Yeah, a sister that's overly perfumed, that goes out into society and other men can smell her. Yeah, we have narrations that describe her, that say she's a fornicator until she comes home, right? And it's because when Islam looks at us, it doesn't view us as individuals, okay? It's looking at an overall, it's looking at us as a society. It's looking at the benefit of society. It's looking at the overall goodness, okay? The individual has his role. Islam focuses on your individual spirituality, yes, but at the same time, what's more important is society as a whole, okay? So when we have no regulation when it comes to this sort of relationship, and when we dishonor an institution so holy like marriage, okay, or when we practice an act which is so holy, like sex, outside of the regulations that Allah Ta'ala has placed, Islam views this as a dangerous corruption to society.
So beautiful that you're mentioning this. So beautiful, because the narration says, إِذَا كَثُرَ الزِّنَا كَثُرَ مَوْتَ الْفَجْأَةِ. What does that mean? So zina is an act between two individuals, right? But Islam, the Prophet is telling us, if this is becoming more often, if this is practiced, then Maut al-Faj'a will occur more often. Maut al-Faj'a to who? To other people in the society.
That's right.
The la'na will be sent upon us. So this is what I always say. Your actions are not just your actions. They affect, they influence the whole society.
Yeah.
The wujud, the whole existence.
So this is what we call a takwini repercussion.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But there's also the hands-on repercussions, okay? And we've seen this we've seen the breakup of the family unit, the concept of family in the West, the culture of family in the West. We've seen where teenage pregnancies can lead to. It becomes a cycle, right? Especially when the father is unknown. We have a narration by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam when asked about why is marriage so important, and the Imam asked, so that you may know your fathers. Okay. Now maybe you and I we read this and say, who doesn't know their fathers? But I'm telling you, yeah, there are places where I'm from, Sydney, Australia, like entire areas it becomes so common that we even joke about them, where there's a whole generation of kids that don't know who the fathers are, and like their mothers genuinely do not know who the fathers are. Okay. This is something that happens out
And
there.
you have these stories like, I found my father after 30 years.
That's right. I found my father after third. Or these weird like Jerry Springer stories where she starts dating an older man, then realizes it's her father. You know, all of this weird stuff. So Islam comes to regulate this, okay? Because we're seeing outside, we're seeing the destruction. It becomes a cycle. You know, you have a child, and this child doesn't know who the father is. Forget the psychological repercussions or psychological implications, okay? But the social implications. This child now, okay, is automatically disadvantaged in life. They're born into life disadvantaged. Then they go off living with this stigma, and more often than not, they're going to repeat the same mistake.
And this could destroy a society. One of my teachers actually said in the beginning of my studies, he took me and he wanted to tell me how not wearing a hijab can destroy a society. And we can apply this into sex outside of marriage, because basically the short version of it was, if somebody is growing up without a father, and he doesn't know his father or his mother, it could apply to both, he will grow up with a hatred towards society and other kids who have both parents.
Both parents, right.
So he will grow up with like, okay, but where is my father? Where is my mother? And he doesn't even know who his father is or his mother is. That will make him, most likely lead him to corruption. He will feel that he's not like the others. He will develop some hate towards others, and this might lead him to be criminal at the end. And if the crime rate increases in any society, this might lead to serious problems in that society. So we can apply this to that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, it creates a cycle, okay? And there are studies, I don't have them in front of me right now, but inshallah, I can pull them up. There are studies about the correlation between being born outside of wedlock and drug abuse, alcoholism, okay, delinquency. It sort of snowballs, okay? It snowballs. And especially when we talk about teenage pregnancies, when these things are happening at a very young age, when a girl is 13 or 14 and she's hidden the pregnancy, and then until it's too late, and now she's gone and she's given birth, and now she's taken this child, and a lot of the time she's given birth at home in a very dangerous environment or setting. She's put herself at risk, she put the baby at risk. If she has given birth, she's thrown it in front of the church or the masjid or the hospital. And we've created now this society of illegitimate children. And subhanallah, you know, this is the tangible effects of it. But we even see that there's the takwini sort of side of it, that the armies that fought the prophets of Allah Ta'ala and killed the awsiya of Allah Ta'ala, like the armies that fought against Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, were deliberately made up of ulad zina.
Ulad al-Haram.
Ulad al-Haram, yeah?
Yeah.
Deliberately. Because just takwiniyan, yeah?
It leaves effects.
It's got an effect. And just keep, there's something that I do need to address here, yeah? Just so people can understand. Because we do have jurisprudential repercussions that apply to the child of zina.
We do, yes.
Right? We do.
Yes.
They can't become maraja, they can't become...
They can lead in salah.
They can't lead in salah, they don't inherit, etc., etc. And we always get the question that why, you know? What did this person do? It's not their fault, and I agree. So yeah, it's not their fault. They didn't do anything. And it's not them that's being punished, okay? On one side, the parents are being punished. Allah Ta'ala wants to show society and wants to show these parents of what a grave sin this is. It is so bad that the repercussions of your sin flow down onto this child. But we need to also understand again, because like I said, Islam looks at things holistically. It has an oversight, okay? Why can't they become maraja? Why can't they become Imam al-Jama'ah? They say, حتى لا يقال عن أئمة المسلمين أنهم أولاد زنا. So that it's not said that the leaders of the Muslims, the Imams of the Muslims, are children of zina.
One of the wisdoms, yeah.
It's one of the wisdoms to protect Islam, protect the identity of Islam.
Yes.
Okay? We can't have, even now in the West, today, if you're going to get a president for the United States, the first thing they do is they go and they look for some sex scandal in his past just to tarnish his reputation.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yes.
So imagine having one of our maraja, wal-iyadhu billah, a leader of the Muslims. Someone goes and digs up that his some love child of some illegitimate relationship that happened God knows when.
Exactly.
Okay? It'll tarnish Islam. So Islam looks to protect its identity, protect its stance in the eyes of, even in the eyes of the enemy.
Actually, I came across a narration the other day. I'm not sure if this is how it was worded, but it says man zana zuniya bihi walau fi uqbihi. So that just makes the point that we're speaking about a few minutes ago, just strengthens it. If you do something, it will leave an impact, maybe not on you, but maybe on your lineage that is going to come later on.
Offspring, that's right.
So your actions are not just your actions. I always emphasize how important it is.
There's a ripple effect, yeah. There's
there
repercussions.
is.
There's
There is.
repercussions. Look, I think we've covered the zina part quite well, right?
Yes. Do you want to jump into the sex and Islam?
Yeah. Look, yeah. I think
the main part.
Our viewers really. How much time have we been on?
No, we're good. We're good.
We're good for time.
Yeah.
Because this is massive. All right. So look, we've said that Islam regulates sex through marriage, right? And that the actual act of sex itself is something which is beautified in Islam when it's done in the institution of marriage. And it's very interesting now to discuss this. What is sex in Islam? What does it actually mean? What's permissible? What's impermissible? Can we just do what we want? Well, I'm married, we're married now, whether this marriage is permanent or temporary. Does this mean I can do whatever I want, wherever I want, however I want, you know? Is there things that are impermissible? It's a very, some of our viewers might be shocked that we actually have a great amount of narrations just on this topic, on what a couple can and cannot do. Okay? And they'll be surprised that what they can do is a lot more than what they cannot do.
Okay, if you allow me, I would just try to explain the concept.
Go for it. This is your
thing. And then you can dive into the details.
Go. No, you dive.
We both dive.
You go for it.
So the position of sex in Islam and how important it actually is the following. You can't reach perfection. You can't reach the real perfection that Allah has put for you to become a whole, perfect human being, a balanced human being without sex.
So we reject celibacy, this notion of celibacy.
Exactly.
Yeah, النكاح سنتي
Exactly.
The Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi
وَمَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ
wasallam.
سُنَّتِي لَيْسَ مِنِّي.
Yeah, he says that that marriage is my tradition, and the one who abstains from my tradition is not from me.
Okay. So let me just make clear how important sex is in Islam. Because it's one of the faculties of the nafs that we have. We have a shahwa. Shahwa has multiple parts. Shahwat al-ta'am, shahwat al-jins, right? The food, the desire to eat, desire to live, desire to have sex. It's something that Allah Azza wa Jal put in us. So, for us to be balanced, human beings, completely balanced, we need to satisfy these faculties. They need to be balanced. Not too much, not too less. So, because if you're hungry all the time, you won't be able to focus. You won't be able to read.
That's
correct. If you're too sleepy, too tired, you won't be able to properly read, pray, etc. It will affect you. So if you are consistently not satisfying, your sexual needs, you won't be able to function properly because you're not balanced. So if you have lack of sex, this will affect your spirituality. It will affect the way you supplicate, the way you pray, the way you read. So sex is something that's really important for you to be balanced, to reach perfection, and to start your journey towards Allah Azza wa Jal. Because this is one of the strongest things Iblis uses to put us down, to hold us back from reaching Allah Azza wa Jal. So you need to be balanced. For you to be balanced, you have to satisfy these desires in a good way. If you don't, you're not going to reach the high levels of spirituality. You won't focus on dua. The words of Allah Azza wa Jal won't reach you. This is how important it is. And to strengthen the point a bit, it is mustahab, it is recommended during the act to remember Allah Azza wa Jal. So if it was something that's not good,
adhkar.
if it was animalistic, if it was just shahwa, haywaniya, something that's looked down upon, why is it recommended to remember Allah Azza wa Jal, dhikrullah, during the act? Actually, it is makruh to speak anything outside of the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal.
That's right.
So if the act itself is bad, is looked down upon, why would the Prophet encourage? Why do we have narrations that say, remember Allah Azza wa Jal during the act? So it's something holy, sacred. It will help you reach your full potential. This is how we need to look at sex.
This is a misconception, especially among, and I've had this conversation with several brothers and sisters, and this is especially when they embark upon a spiritual journey, right? When they go through this whole tazkiyat al-nafs and they start reading these books on spirituality and on arfan, and then but without muqaddimat. And this is the problem with mysticism and spirituality. When you don't have a teacher, when you don't have a guide, someone to guide you through them, you end up falling in these misconceptions where they think that in order for me to spiritually elevate, or to elevate spiritually, I need to abstain. I need to not have these urges. And this is a waste of time. And some of them are married, some of them are married couples. So I did have a brother a few years ago come and talk to me about this thing, where his wife is like one of these very pious sister who's on this spiritual journey, and then she's telling him that this is, what, all you do is talk about sex. We need to, why don't we do some more salat al-layl, some more adhkar, some more, whereas this sister, if she was to actually تفقه في الدين, open up because we say the first step of spirituality is this الرسالة العملية,
Yes.
This is the first step of spirituality, is your jurisprudence. If you had your jurisprudence down pat, you would understand that this is the greatest form of ibadah for you.
It is.
That
من تزوج أحرز نصف دينه.
That if you're looking for repentance, tawbah, then the ghusl after being with your spouse, every drop of water does istighfar for you. We have so many narrations on this because they look at themselves as just ruh, okay? Well, Islam comes, and like we said, Islam looks at things as they are, that you're a mix. You are turabi and you are ruhi. Okay, and each one of these has its necessities. Each one of these has its needs and its desires.
The balance. You can be sexual, you can have sex and pray Salat al-Layl afterwards.
Yeah, with one ghusl.
We're not saying exactly.
No wudu.
We're not saying just be completely sexual. No. We don't want to go to the extreme, but have a good balance. Have a good balance, because you need the balance. So B, we're not belittling, you know, when you say like just to read Quran and
No,
dua.
no.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
so
but this doesn't cancel this.
exactly.
Yeah, like we said, Islam
They go along, yeah.
discourages the whole abstaining, monkhood. We don't have monks in Islam. We don't find it as some. We actually we have hurma in it, right? Of a person that detaches himself from society and lives by himself. Away from the Muslims.
Of course, it goes against the
Yeah,
spirit of
it goes
Islam.
against the spirit of Islam. No, but like, Islam encourages you to have this stuff. And like you said, the adhkar, so many adhkar, so many mustahabbat, yeah? It's actually mustahab, there's a 2 rak'at prayer. That's mustahab for the both of you to do before it. Because it is viewed as an act of worship, yeah? Even though zawaj, marriage itself, is under our contract law, okay? The actual process of marriage is viewed as a ibadah, right?
Yes.
As seeking nearness to Allah Ta'ala. And so is sex, okay? We have a hadith about, like you said, the adhkar, the mustahabbat. There's akhlaq, adabiyat. There are things that are haram. There are things that are mustahab. There are things that are makruh. There are times that it's mustahab.
We have times that where it is makruh.
We have times that it's makruh,
Yeah,
right?
so
we have places that it's makruh.
If our viewers would just open some books that we have, Wasa'il al-Shia, other books, just to read the narrations.
Or
that
even
we
just
have.
your Risala Amaliya. We have
We have so many details.
Open the Risala Amaliya of your Marja' Taqlid. There is so much in there, just in Kitab al-Nikah.
Let me just highlight that we have 2 types of sex because they might get confused when they look at the narrations.
That's true.
If we have, I would say this is like my own like taqsim, right? We have one type of sex if you have the intention to conceive a child.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we have another type of sex where you don't have the intention to conceive a child. Because you will find many narrations that say if you want to have sexual intercourse, then do 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you don't, then your child will be 1, 2, 3, 4. For example, if you want to have sexual intercourse, just be on wudu, right?
Right.
For if not, then there's consequences. Remember Allah, for if you don't remember Allah, the shaitan will be your partner in that act. Don't speak during intercourse. Don't be fully naked during intercourse. So if you look at these narrations, you think that why is it so complicated?
Don't do it under the open sky.
Yes.
Or under a tree.
Even I remember it is makruh, dislike to do it under one blanket. So if you look at these narrations, you might think, and why is it so hard? Like even this part, Islam has so many restrictions. No, most of these narrations speak about when you have the intention to actually conceive a child. So there's 2 types. If you plan on having intercourse to conceive a child, yes, please make sure you read those narrations. You know what to do and what not to do from a akhlaqi perspective, because no one is saying it's haram. It's just the narrations are telling you, we call these ahkam irshadiyya, right? They're just, how do you say,
guiding.
tips?
Yeah.
Guiding.
Yeah, they're guiding. But
Yes.
it's better if you abstain from these things.
Exactly.
If you want a good result, you're embarking on a mission to create life.
Yes.
It's something very
exactly.
holy.
It is.
Yeah?
It is.
So it's better if you do it this way.
So just follow these narrations and
yeah.
what they say. So this is one type of sexual intercourse. But then sometimes you might have sexual intercourse just for pleasure.
For the fun of it.
Then you don't have to actually follow these guides, right? You can just ignore them. So we have 2 types of sexual intercourse.
But there are still things that you must follow even
if you're having...
Yeah, even if you in both cases, there are things that are haram, for
Yes,
example.
Hala will speak about the do's and don'ts, like what's haram during sex. We have 4 things that are haram. Everything else is permissible. Hala, we can mention them one after one. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight that we have 2 types of sexual intercourse. One, which will lead to conceiving a child, and the other one, no. So if you plan on conceiving a child, just read the narrations and make sure you follow them as much as you can to have the best result. For your newborn baby.
That's right.
When it comes to the do's and don'ts, so we have 4 things that are haram. What would be the first one?
You say it.
You want me to say it?
I want you to say it. I'm embarrassed.
I'll start with...
I'm very shy.
I'll start with the first one and then we get the ball rolling, inshallah. The first one is everything you want to do with your partner that your partner doesn't agree upon would be haram.
So consent.
Yes. Unless it's wajib, So,
right.
so let's say, for example, the marja says what's wajib on the wife because we have wujub al-tamkin,
That's right.
right? So the wajib part is just for her to allow you to penetrate her. That's it. Anything more than this, if your partner is not okay with it, you can't force them to do this. If you force them to do that, it would be haram. So let's say oral sex, other types of pleasure. If they are not okay with it, you cannot force them. If you do force them, this is haram. So this would be haram. This is one thing.
I think a second one, this is a very common one that not many people know, is eating or swallowing any najasat, yeah?
Yes.
So semen is najis in our jurisprudence. So that part, that's also
That's the second
that's the
muharram.
second one, muharram.
Yeah, so eating, swallowing najasat is haram.
Any form of najasat, yeah, including semen.
Yes. The third one would be anything that is not from your body
Cannot be used to penetrate.
cannot be used to penetrate the other. So everything that is from your body actually can be used to penetrate.
You can't use
the
foreign
other.
objects, yeah.
Foreign objects, toys, fruits,
All of these
whatever it is, they're not permissible, they're not allowed. But there's an important thing that we need to mention. We're saying everything else that has a separate impact because some types of protection are allowed.
That's right.
So everything that is not from your body that has a separate impact would be haram.
That's right.
To say it like that. So this is the third one, and the fourth one, the last one, would be it is haram for each person, for each individual, to please themselves even during intercourse.
That's right.
So, like, let's say small touches are fine, but to please yourself even during intercourse is not
haram.
It's not permissible. It's
and then
muharram.
pretty much everything else is pretty much permissible.
Yes.
Right?
Everything else should be fine.
Allah Ta'ala tells you to approach your wives in whatever manner that you wish.
This is just from a fiqh perspective, though.
Yeah, this is...
Whoever wants more knowledge, because you mentioned our narrations are very, very detailed. We have narrations that speak about how to approach the other, what to do, what not to do, and how to do things. There's narrations from Imam al-Kadhim, Imam al-Rida. If you just open the narrations...
Imam al-Sadiq has a whole... and you'll be surprised how many, because a lot of the time Islam is looked upon as a misogynistic sort of religion. How many or the number of these narrations which are more focused on the woman. Okay, we have narrations that describe, and this is a common, and it's a common and it's a very sad reality, and you hear it so many times, and I don't know why, where the husband, as soon as he's done, that's it, everyone's done, it's finished. He'll go to sleep and she remains awake. We have narrations that describe him as an oppressor, a zalim, yeah, and that he should hold the responsibility of whatever repercussions that take place after this. All right, how many of our narrations encourage that you look after your wife sexually first, and then come your needs. Okay, then your needs, but make sure her needs are first met. We said with the issue of tamkeen, jurisprudentially, even this can even apply to a woman. I think Sayyid al-Khoury, he has a thing on this. He says that especially if she's a young woman, that has a strong shahwa, yeah, then you shouldn't abstain from her for long periods of time. Okay,
Yes.
and she can actually, if she senses that you are not satisfying her needs, she can refer her issue to a jurist. She can refer it to a judge and say that, hey, you can either legally make this guy sleep with me,
Yes, yes.
or divorce me. Yeah, right?
Yes, yes, it's true. It's true.
Or
It's
find me
funny, but it's
it's
true.
funny, yeah. Or find me another husband, because this happens. We hear so many times that, oh, this guy, you know what? He just goes, he does his thing, and he goes to sleep, and then down the track we find out that his wife's in this miserable marriage. She's in a miserable mindset. We have a narration that says it's as if like you've gotten her ready for it, and then you've just, you've gone off, but she's still ready.
True.
Yeah, she's still ready for the
There's a
act.
narration that says like من عجز الرجل أن يقضي حاجته دون حاجتها, something like this.
Yeah.
So it's from his weakness,
Yeah, it's a weakness.
that he fulfills his needs, but
That's
keeps her needs
That's right.
still open.
That's right.
So yeah, but this topic we can just go on and on.
The amount of ahadith we have on foreplay, it's mustahab.
مداعبة, yes.
Foreplay is mustahab.
Yes,
You can
yes.
seek nearness to Allah Ta'ala through
This is
foreplay,
I think
right?
this is the main message that we want to deliver in this episode. And the act of sex is something that's actually holy, that will help you grow as a human being.
That's right.
And help you reach high stages.
When it's done
Properly. Exactly.
When it's done
ضمن
properly.
الحدود.
When it's done
inside
properly.
the limitations of
when
Allah
it's
Azza wa Jal.
and it's a very vast topic, right? We can talk so much. We can say so many things about this. But like you said perfectly, the message that we want to get across is this act is not unholy. In fact, it's very holy. Okay? It's not unclean. In fact, it's something that can cleanse your soul. It's not something that's discouraged. It's something that's in fact a sunnah of the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of the Imams alayhim salam, of the prophets of Allah Ta'ala. It's something that can be wajib sometimes. Yeah? It can be wajib. If you reach a point where you are going to commit haram, it becomes wajib upon you to go and seek this. What I would recommend to our viewers is get back to us. Let us know in the scope of this topic, what do you want us to talk about more? Okay? Because this was an introduction. This episode was, we can say, an introduction to these sort of topics. We don't want to sit here, right, and discuss things that they can hear on As-Sirat or go to their local masjid, and no, we want to, we don't want to do that. Yeah, they can find that information everywhere, anywhere else. We want to talk about the things that matter to you. Things that you don't find outside, things that you don't find in your masjid, things that you can't ask mom, you can't ask your dad, you can't ask your local sheikh, yeah? We want to provide for you the information that the mashayikh put away, okay? Or they're too embarrassed, okay? You mentioned a interesting narration before we began, and a lot of the time, I remember I mentioned this narration on the minbar once, and then a sheikh came up to me after and he said to me, how can you mention this narration?
Which narration?
The narration about how a woman is supposed to be chaste and modest outside of the house, but when she enters her home, she needs to take off the cloak of chastity.
Exactly. So the narration in Arabic, it says actually خير نسائكم.
The best of women, that's right.
خير نسائكم التي إذا خلت بزوجها خلعت له درع الحياة. It's خلع. So when you're inside, when you're with your husband, this is where you can let go. This is where you can just be open, because this is your husband. Now Allah Azza wa Jal is telling you, this is how I want you to use your outlet, which is your husband. He put this desire in us. It's not something that's bad. This is my main message.
Haya, chastity, modesty is something for outside of the home.
Yes.
And subhanAllah, we're finding the complete opposite now that's happening outside of the home. Flirtatious, the way she's dressed, the way she presents herself, and then she comes home and she puts on the baggy hoodie and the and the football socks, and she's just sitting there and she got food everywhere. No. Islam comes and encourages the complete opposite. It says, be chaste and modest outside, because we want society to be chaste and modest. But when you go home, get freaky. Get wild. This is what Islam wants, and this is a way forward for humanity, and this is what elevates you spiritually, and this is what brings you closer to Allah Ta'ala, for man and woman. Because a lot of the time people, what do they assume? That Islam is just talking about how a woman can be of sexual service to a man, and it's not the case. No, it's a two-way street.
Look, a healthy society needs healthy marriages.
That's right.
Healthy marriages needs a healthy sexual relationship. So sex is the spine of a marriage. If so many marriages fail because this is not the sex is not present the way it should be present. So for us,
not present at all. Sometimes.
Exactly. After a while, it's not present at all. So for us to have a healthy society, to be a healthy community, we need to have healthy marriages. Healthy marriages means healthy sex, means proper education on this topic.
That's right. And this is why it's important for our viewers to let us know. Send in your questions. Send in your recommendations. Let us know what you want us to discuss more regarding this topic. We do have, inshallah, we have much planned regarding this. Whether it be another podcast or maybe something, maybe a live discussion.
Yeah, they can. I mean, they can all
You
comment.
can recommend, yeah.
Yes, just
recommend
any topic or related to this topic. You can send us your questions, your comments. We'd really appreciate that.
Yeah,
I think it's a good way to wrap it
yeah,
up.
it's a very good way to wrap it up. So we look forward to hearing back from you. Like we said, we are here to provide for you the things that inshallah are not accessible to you on through other means.
Yes.
So we do look forward to hearing from you, inshallah. Sheikh Muhammad, do you have any final words?
So yeah, before we finish and end this, if you like our hoodies, Sheikh Mu'taz is wearing the strength one.
Yes.
Al Quwa, and I'm wearing the freedom one.
Appropriate for the topic.
We have and we have other hoodies as well. Check out our shop, KeysToLife shop on Instagram, or our website, www.keystolife.net. Check them out. We have a few. They're almost sold out. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Please, we're looking forward to your comments and your take on this. And if you found this episode beneficial or not, you can reach us at any time on KeysToLife, on Sheikh Mu'taz's Instagram, or other social media platforms. Myself as well, you can reach me on my Instagram. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Sheikh Mu'taz, thank you for your time and this input. Really appreciate it. And we're looking forward, inshallah, to the next episode. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin.